I'm really fucking tired because I was on my feet today for about 9 hours at work. So, it's been a long day. Today I want to talk about having a mentor. If you're a young person and you're trying to improve yourself, if you're trying to learn a skill, this applies to you. And it also applies to you if you're just trying to improve yourself in a general sense. If you have someone that you can look up to, an older person who has their stuff figured out, someone that you want to be like, that can be really helpful so that you can kind of just copy that person, and it will help you not go off the path. And this person doesn't have to be physical. It could be someone that you met that isn't physically with you all the time. Because if you're learning a skill at a job, for example, it's a lot easier because you're going to be working with that. If you found a mentor that you're working with, let's say you're a plumber and you're working with an older plumber who's been doing it for 40 years. It's pretty straightforward. You just go to work and you pay attention and you close your mouth and you open your ears, basically. Like you just absorb anything that he does or says, he or she. Could be a female plumber. But if that's not the case, if it's not like a job, or it's not someone that you physically are surrounded by, if you don't have a person like that in your life, you can still find that for yourself. You could even create it through concepts of what it means to be who you want to be, whether it's a character from a show or someone else's family member or something like that. It doesn't have to be direct. You can use that as inspiration and kind of study that person and just copy that person. In my experience, in my personal situation, I grew up without a strong male figure in my life, meaning someone that shows me what it means to be a strong man, and so I've had to kind of look outside of my own situation to find that. And throughout the years, it's been through various things, whether it's someone else's father or a male TV show person or a character or something like that. But that's helped me a lot. Whenever I'm able to, whenever I think of it, I stop and think about what that person would do in my shoes, or what they might be doing right now, or just in general, like what do they do every day? How do they organize themselves? Are they organized? Are they not organized? Stuff like that. And it just helps me, and then I just do that. I just do what they would do. And I just kind of follow that. So for me personally, it's been like a imaginary thing almost. And it's helped me a lot. It's helped me get things done. It's helped me. It's almost like I view my surroundings and my situations through someone else's lens, and that just gives me a different perspective. It just kind of opens my mind a little bit. It's really interesting, like what we can do with our minds. And I think if you don't have a good influence in your life, that can really help you. Good influence in your immediate surroundings. You don't necessarily need it. You don't need to allow the fact that you don't have someone like that in your life mean that you can't. It doesn't have to mean that you can't learn how to be a good person, or a disciplined person, or whatever it is that you want to be. I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't have that in their immediate surroundings. And it can cause us to feel lost. We don't know how to navigate our life. We don't know how to navigate situations. So if we have like an internal compass of what someone who's more experienced and more mature than us, what they would do, it can help us navigate. And you can kind of experiment with it. You can find what, it's almost like you can, it helps you find what you, if you don't necessarily know exactly what you want to be, it can set you on the right path to finding out what you want. You can try being different people. You can try following different people, copying different people. It's you just end up using your time wisely, rather than just being lost. For me, it's what gets me up in the morning. You know, I get up at 5:30 before the sun rises, and I do what needs to be done. And when I do that, I feel so good. And when I don't, I feel lost. So, and when I do get up and I do things and I do have a schedule, it's because it's a schedule that I have created based on what other people do. So you don't need to figure everything out by yourself. And I would say figuring things out by yourself, this is part of the process. You're always figuring stuff out for yourself, even if you're following someone else, because you're doing it for yourself. So don't think that it's wrong. It's not wrong to copy other people and follow other people, because in doing that you find who you want to be. And it's like for me it's fun. It takes me out of my own head. It opens perspective. Like, for me, it's like if being quote unquote yourself isn't working, then you shouldn't feel like you have to be complacent with that. Because who you are now, it doesn't have to be who you are in the future or tomorrow even. Who we really are never really changes. But I think who we really are is not something that has limitations. I don't think that saying that, oh, well, this is how I am, or this is who I am, and saying that about like a negative thing or something where it's like it's almost like you're coping. It's like a coping mechanism where it's like, oh, this is just who I am. There's nothing I can do. There's always something you can do. Not that you have to do it. You live your life however you want. But you do need to ask yourself, are you living your life how you want? Is it really what you want? Or are you just telling yourself that that's what you deserve? Or that's what you are? Because you can always be something different. You don't have to be how you are now forever. And within the same breath, I think it's important to know that I feel like that advice is given a lot, but maybe more aggressively sometimes, where it makes people feel like they have to be special, where it's like, oh, like, you shouldn't limit yourself by living this way or having this type of job or whatever. Like, you should be a superstar or something, or you should be special. I'm not saying that, because you might not want that. You might not want to be special, or what people think is special, When I say special, I mean something that's like, oh, extraordinary, where you tell people, or they see what you're doing, and they're so surprised, or they're so impressed. Like, you don't need to live for other people. You don't need to be quote unquote special. This just applies for you if you aren't happy with where you are, which I'm going to assume that you're not, because most people aren't happy with where they are. I feel like it's rare for people for their problem to be that I don't think many people are happy with where they are or with what they're doing. Some people are, but I feel like most people aren't. So I'm going to assume that there's a place that you want to be that you aren't yet. And if that's the case, and you seem to be sabotaging yourself, or the type of person you are isn't matching what you want, you can change that. And you can change it if you want to. And a good way to do that is to copy other people. Find a mentor. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a physical person. A mentor can be a construct in your mind. It can be completely made up. And you can follow that, and that can be your compass. lately I've just been doing more and more what aligns with what I want. And it's hard because what I want requires me to be more, to be less risk averse, to take more risks, to be less safe, to be more independent, to be more, not listening to what other people say and just doing what is right for me and my purpose. But, I've found that it makes me feel alive. And I pay a lot more attention to how I feel now. When you have a clear plan, and by clear I just mean you know where you're going and you know what you're trying to achieve. You don't know the details. No one knows the details. The details come through doing. It comes day by day. The more you have a plan, the better you feel. I promise. You just feel like you feel like you have a purpose. You wake up with a purpose. And when you're working towards that purpose, I really don't think there's a better feeling than that. That's the point of living, in my opinion. Is having a purpose, your own purpose, finding your own purpose and working towards it. It's the process of working towards it. That is what life should be. Because life doesn't get better than how it is, What makes it better emotionally, what gives you motivation is the process of working towards something that's greater. So you shouldn't wait for things to change. You need to make the change yourself. And in order to make change, you need to change. You need to change. And that's why I believe having a mentor of someone who is greater than you is so important. Because it keeps you on track.